S Word, featuring Will Gavin and Master Tess Fassian. And a squad of big-name contributors. The S Word from talkSPORT.
Well, a very good morning and welcome to the S Word, sponsored by talkSPORT. I am Will Gavin. Master Tess Fassian is live in Los Angeles, and what a night of football that was last night. Maybe the best of the World Cup so far, as we say. Auf Wiedersehen to Germany. We say goodbye to the Netherlands, because I don't know what goodbye is in Netherlands. We say konnichiwa and thank you to the Japanese. They are all out of here. Huge names to depart the tournament at these early stages. We're going to reflect on all of the action from last night. Big up those teams that are through. Paraguay, Morocco, great performances from them. And we've got a stellar guest list coming up for you on the show today. We are going to be joined by Kev Hatchard, European football expert, to talk about those big European teams that have exited. We're going to be joined by the Watford legend, the Birmingham legend, Troy Deeney is going to be in the house for the show today. We're also going to have Omar Raja joining the show as well. He's been doing some brilliant work with the fans out there in the US. So loads for us to bring you on this just glorious round of 32 World Cup edition of the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi. Oh, Marston, last night was enough to get those World Cup juices flowing. 3 absolute bangers.
Look at this.
The people of Morocco represented earlier.
Come on.
You absolutely
Come
have
on.
to see it.
Come
Absolutely.
on, what a match, what a day. That might be one of my favorite World Cup days of all time. The simple fact that there was 2 matchups that we were already looking forward to, with Brazil, Japan, Netherlands, Morocco, both of them delivered. And then you thought the middle game, Germany, Paraguay, would be one-sided. We expected probably Germany to advance and go through. And then Paraguay pulls off an incredible upset, beating them in penalties. It delivered in so many ways, and I'm so excited to recap what happened last night.
Just a word before we get into it, because I want to work through the games backwards, but just before we get to it, your feeling this morning, knowing that, having spent this whole tournament talk about how the big dogs hadn't turned up, about how maybe there was a little bit of arrogance from some of those nations and some of those confederations who thought that they were out here and ready to dominate, that already we've lost Germany, that already we've lost the Dutch. Wow.
All that talk from those big nations that thought 48 nations, we're just wasting our time. The group stage was a waste of time. The round of 32, we're just prolonging this and extending this. Let's just get to the big dogs and get rid of these minnows. Well, guess what, buddy? Germany, you're going home. There were some fans who were flying in to New York as they found out word that Paraguay beat them. They're now in New York. German fans in New York just landed for the round of 16 with nothing to do, nowhere to go. Go back home, buddy. That's all you can really do, or enjoy the sights and sounds and relive what Freddie did, because he's going back home too. We've also got Netherlands, another team. The mathematicians, the statisticians, the nerds, the analysts. Will Gavin himself called him a dark horse. They said that the Netherlands would find a way. This could be the year that the Netherlands finally get that World Cup that they have been searching for in our lifetimes. And guess what, buddy? It is time, bro. They're on the beach, buddy.
They are on the beach already. Bring them.
They're on the beach, Will. They're on the beach, buddy. They're going home. Going home. Going home.
We say Tutsiens to the Dutch. We say Guten Abend to the Germans. And we say konnichiwa to the wonderful Japanese. You're all out of here, baby. In a way, I am a little bit sad we won't see the Dutch walk again, but it was an amazing night of World Cup football. So we had to bring On the Beach back to celebrate a little bit of the action from last night. Let's talk about.
Don't worry, Will. The people in the Netherlands, they won't be bored at all, because there's a huge Moroccan population in the Netherlands. There's literally a flying inflated parrot going around this corner. Going home.
Right, brilliant. The show's coming on. Get sweaty up in this studio. Let's start off with that last game last night. The Dutch against the Moroccans, a game where the Dutch set up early. I thought came out in a a really interesting, like, they looked and they
Will, when I tell you how some teams sometimes can play very cowardly, would you argue Netherlands going with the back five, changing their entire identity? It was a bit cowardly.
They come out and, you're absolutely right. They play that kind of asymmetrical 5-2-3, and it's all designed to restrict Hakimi and to restrict the Moroccan width. And they saw where they'd been dangerous, and they went to try and nullify it. And I'm like, I understand this isn't the Dutch team of, the 80s or the 90s. This isn't necessarily a team that's got Van Basten or Bergkamp or Seedorf or Gullit or like these all-time greats. This might not be a Dutch team that you're thinking of as being a tournament winner, but there's a huge amount of talent in this team. They're coached by a big coach. They should be out there going and trying to win these games. And I thought they came out. Tactically, it was fascinating. But for 70 minutes, they nullified Morocco. And I'm like, we saw you put 5 past Sweden only a few days ago. Like, why on earth? Like, the way they played football that night, the way they were so positive, the way they broke the lines, the way they sent 4 crashing into the box constantly and got balls in there. That was the Dutch team I enjoyed watching. For 70 minutes last night, I was like, where has all of that gone? But you've got to give it to Morocco. They played really well.
They played tremendously well, and I think it was a huge shift in terms of perspective, because we saw a European side show a tremendous amount of respect, maybe almost too much respect to an African nation, so much so that they changed up their own tactical identity to try and mitigate what Morocco does really well. And kudos to Morocco as well, because 4 years ago, this was a side that was thriving off of the low block and making people suffer and finding that one goal on the counterattack and or taking it to penalties, where this Morocco side that we see now, they're on the front foot. They're aggressive. They're attacking. They dominated possession. They by far had more passes than the Netherlands did. They were by far the more positive team in this match. And they're the ones that deserve to win this match. Whether it went to penalties or not, they earned the right to advance into the round of 16 with their performance and their level of play. And I will say the Netherlands, too, as you mentioned, through 70 minutes, their tactic, even though I may describe it as cowardly, it was working.
Mm-hmm.
It was working. And coming out of that hydration break, scoring the goal, making the substitutions, it brought up the classic 1-0 victory that the Netherlands was probably aiming for. But Moroccan magic, Will, is alive and well. Yeah. Moroccan magic is alive and well. And it's a job finding a way on that cross to equalize it on the header in the 90th minutes when it felt like the Netherlands was about to close this door. What a tremendous moment for Morocco to continue the progression that they're making and to show that 2022 was not a fluke in any way. And in fact, if you were going to face them in this tournament, you better respect them as well, because they will make you pay big time.
The kind way to put it is that Ronald Koeman gave them respect. The unkind way to put it, as you said, is to suggest it was cowardice. And what was amazing to me is that when Hakimi rattles the posts just after that hydration break, it was almost like the ball hit Ronald Koeman in the head, and it suddenly woke him up, and he suddenly realised this is knockout football. This is not some like, oh, we can get a draw, you get through from the group stage, we'll be fine here, we've already beaten the Swedes. We actually need to go and win this game of football. We don't want this team, who are going to be incredibly tough, who are going to be incredibly resilient, to take us to extra time, to take us to penalties. So he makes the big substitutions. He brings on Koop Miners, he brings on Weghorst. It's Weghorst who wins the ball down to Somerville. Obviously, Cody Gakpo then gets in and gets the goal, and you're like, oh, You remembered how you're meant to play football when you're the Dutch. You remembered that you had to go and win this game. We'll talk about how Morocco then responded, but just a word for Cody Gakpo, because the devastating news that came down that he shared on social media, that his pregnant wife lost their baby, and we've given some personal stories on this before. It's something that hits home very hard to someone who's been through IVF and had these situations in their life, and so your heart went out to him, and for him to be out there and for him to be the mental fortitude under that immense personal grief, and the celebrations when he got the goal. Like, as much as I'm so happy for Morocco and for winning that game. That was one of the moments of the World Cup for me so far. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, it got pretty dusty in the Gavin living room last night at 3 a.m. when that happened. It was a beautiful moment in football. And yeah, it didn't work out for them in the end. But Cody Gakpo, heart goes out to you, and what a wonderful moment of football.
Yeah, that was an incredibly emotional. Just seeing him collapse on the pitch and sobbing to tears as all of his teammates came around to support him and embrace him. And well, we all thought was going to be the game winner. It would have been an incredibly poetic, an iconic moment in World Cup history, and a moment I'm sure that none of us would ever forget. And still to this point, we won't forget that moment, just due to the simple fact that he was on the pitch, considering everything that he went through, and was still able to find a way to mentally perform for his team, despite all the adversity and all the circumstances he was dealing with personally, and to come through for his nation. It's hard to question any sort of toughness, fortitude, anything about Cody Gakpo, considering the performance he provided for his nation yesterday. It was truly astonishing, and for him to continue on through extras as well. I know he came off with about 5 minutes left because of cramps, but an amazing moment that, unfortunately wasn't a game winner, but still was noteworthy nonetheless, Will. And also credit to Somerville. Give credit to Somerville as well. In terms of the assists, Somerville's play, he performed unbelievable in this tournament. He to find a way to get that ball across to Cody Gakpo while he was on the ground, while his butt was literally on the ground, and finding a way to scissor kick that ball on the ground.
Cheeks to floor, still got the scissor kick off.
Cheeks were on the grass, and he found a way to get the ball to Gakpo. I thought Somerville has performed unbelievable in this tournament. But it goes back to our point. You have these players. You have Somerville. You have Cody Gakpo. You have Robbie. You had Malen on the bench. And whatever you think of Memphis Depay, he didn't come on the pitch, and he could have been an option in penalties. You had all these attacking weapons for the Netherlands. And I think 4 of their 6 substitutes were defensive substitutions. It's still going to be a very difficult pill to swallow if you are a Dutch fan, knowing that your identity is total football and you are always attacking on the front foot, and to see yourself in the round of 32 playing a defensive style of football that gets you eliminated and you don't make it to the round of 16 for the first time ever. That is a tough way to wake up if you are a Dutch fan, and a sobering reality of what just happened against Morocco in Monterrey.
And look, we praised, and what a beautiful stadium, what a beautiful city. The Dutch walk was still there. They still turned up in force. Sensational stuff from them.
I mean, the Mexicans also had a bone to pick with the Dutch from 2014. Let's not forget the penalty that shouldn't have been a penalty. And there's a lot of Mexicans running around right now, Will, that are feeling like justice was served.
What's left and right in Spanish? Anybody?
You're the one that uses Spanish on the show.
But listen, we give the praise to Ronald Koeman for making the changes, and it did make the difference finally as he got out of his own shell. And then Mohamed Ouabi makes the changes of his own. And between, the fact that obviously Issa Diop comes off the bench, gets the goal, the equaliser, a huge moment, another jaw-dropping moment in a World Cup that's absolutely full of them. But Rahimi and Talbi both score penalties in this game as well. Throughout extra time, I thought they were the team who looked the more likely to strike in that period. And Morocco go through absolutely deserving. And look, you don't want to be facing them in the next round. If that is, if that's the direction, if they're in your quarter or your half of the draw, they are a team who you will be desperate to avoid. They go to Canada next in Houston. They then get the winner of Paraguay and either France or Sweden. So look, this is a Morocco team who, if it's France, July 9th at Foxborough.
France-Morocco, rematch.
Yeah, exactly. Like, unreal that could be the game that gets thrown up in this tournament from the semi-final from 4 years ago. That is turned into a really intriguing set of ties. So, unbelievable stuff. We've got big guests coming on today. I can't wait to have Kev Hatchard joining us. So we'll break down the exits and what it means for the German team and for the Dutch team as well. Should we just talk a bit Brazil-Japan now while we've got a moment before we get to Kev?
Another great match, man. Another amazing match. I mentioned it on the show yesterday.
I just want to ask, you talked about the Dutch coming out, cowardice in their tactics, not being positive enough to start having the talent. Did Japan make a big mistake with their second half tactics, up a goal, going inside themselves, inviting Brazil on, and not actually trying to take the game to them?
I don't know if this is more about Japan than it is about Brazil, where I mentioned on the show yesterday, this Brazil side just gives me 2023 Real Madrid vibes, where it's
not the best team, but somehow wins everything.
They somehow find a way to get results. And Carlo Ancelotti, I think all the praise goes to him. The halftime decisions that he made, everyone was arguing to take Casemiro off the pitch because he performed so poorly in the first half. He keeps him on the pitch. Casemiro scores the equalizer. He takes Cunha off the pitch for Gabriel Martinelli, playing out of position. And then Gabriel Martinelli scores the game winner at the death for Brazil. Like, he puts in Endrick, and Endrick put in a great shift as well in the second half. Like, the substitutions, the decisions that Carlo Ancelotti made in the second half, all praise, all credit goes to him. Because the way Japan was performing in that first half, there was no reason to believe that Brazil was going to find a way to unlock Japan defensively and put up 2 goals before stoppage time, before the 90 minutes was over with. And they found a way. And this Brazilian side they keep improving little by little. And this is coming from someone that did not believe in this Brazilian side going into this tournament, but they keep improving, finding ways to get results. It may not be the prettiest of footballs. It may not be the most pretty football to watch, but they're finding ways to get results. They're finding ways to advance, and they're finding ways to win. And I think every Brazilian will take that any day of the week.
I think the reception for Endrick, and producer Ollie, who works on the show, watched it. His spouse is Brazilian. They're heading off actually to emigrate to Brazil during this World Cup. So he'll definitely be joining us from out there if they do make it through to the latter stages, because like after the round of 16, he'll be there in Brazil for the quarters, semis and final if they end up going that far. The reaction to Endrick coming on, whilst not the level of reaction that we saw to Neymar as the national hero, the returner, everything else going on, the memes that have been going around, the why won't Ancelotti give him an opportunity, the everything that's gone along with that. When he comes on, it gets a huge reaction. He was excellent in the game. And when asked about it afterwards, the coach said, listen, I thought Scotland was our best performance. I thought today in the second half was our best performance. Great teams grow into tournaments. I think so far we've not seen a lot of great teams. I think if you want to have France up kind of above everyone else, but even so defensively have had moments of frailty and haven't come up against a big opposition so far. You've seen bright sparks from Argentina, but you ask about their opposition from England, but then one brilliant performance and a couple of duds from Spain. The opposite started off with a dud, had a brilliant performance. Like everyone is... Like, nobody has come out and completely shone yet. And you just feel like this Brazil side, it's just eking up. It's just getting better and getting better. And in a tournament where we have already lost the Germans, where we have already lost the Dutch, who many people thought could go far in this tournament, they're going to face the winner of Ivory Coast, Norway. That's going to be a tough game either way. Then they get the winner of whoever out of Mexico, Ecuador, England and Congo come out of that part of the draw. Like that game in Miami on July 11th, whether that's England, Brazil, whether it ends up being Mexico or Ecuador playing Brazil, like that is as spicy as they come. So that is probably, not just because England are in there, my favourite part of the draw. So they're going to have to do it in the toughest way. But Brazil are just, as a team that I felt the same way about the Brazilians I felt about the Germans going into this tournament. I thought, like, obviously there's a lot of talent there. I don't see them as a tournament winner. Brazil might be talking me around. Brazil might.
Are you believing? Are you believing in Brazil? Are you believing?
Are you believing?
Are you believing? Is Will a believer?
It's really terrifying because I was saying about how I'm not scared of Brazil about 2 weeks ago. If we did end up getting them in Miami, we'll be very much on the beach.
You also said you weren't scared of Mexico. You also said you weren't scared of Mexico. And by the way, I don't know if you've seen the videos.
I'd rather
Mexicans
face
were out.
Ecuador.
No, listen. Have you seen the videos of Mexican fans outside of Ecuador's team hotel in Mexico City, making as much noise as they could all throughout the night?
They are.
If you beat the DR Congo, that is what awaits you.
Master, they are talking about on the day they play England, if they play England in what's to be an early evening kickoff, that the people of Mexico are going to go out onto the streets in their cars and run the engines heavy to try and get the city to be smoggier in order to make it harder for England. Like this is what they are talking about. Our Mexican brethren. I love the Mexicans, but man, that is going to be quite the atmosphere.
You are not right. Handle the Congolese first. Handle the Congolese first.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Handle the low block that the Congolese about to provide.
I got to tell you, brother. We'll get into that game tomorrow. Obviously, the nerves in the production team about tomorrow. Producer Sam actually said over breakfast this morning, "I think it's gonna be 0-0 and go to penalties." What's wrong with you?
Is that the vibe?
That's the vibe right now.
Is that what Germany and Netherlands getting eliminated? Is that what that does in England? Is that?
Listen, I believe in England, and I believe and I trust that we need to keep calm and trust Thomas Tuchel. Come on, England!
What?
That's right. We're keeping calm. We're trusting Tuchel. England are going to go all the way, baby. I've said that really early.
Who in Piccadilly Circus did you buy that shirt from?
Thank you, Etsy. Right. They got money.
Yes, he does.
They got some money off me. The great Kev Hatchard joins us up next. The reaction in Germany to them going out has been vociferous. And as a Bundesliga commentator, I'm sure he'll have plenty to say. Don't forget, you can get in touch with the show. Get in the chat. Get up on social media. This is the S Word, sponsored by Cauchy.
Bringing all the biggest football debates stateside. The S Word from talkSPORT. Words here. Just 2 hours of full-on football dialogue. Every day, talkSPORT presents the S Word.
You're back with the S Word here on talkSPORT. I'm Will Gavin. We're available on all these social media channels. Oh, they just changed the camera as I pointed at it. I love you, Lucy. There they all are.
Hey.
We were on Instagram. We're on X. We are on YouTube as well. We're at talkSPORT S Word. I haven't opened the chat yet. Sorry, that's very rude of me. I will get in there and make sure that we read your messages. I'm loving that you are rocking the full-blown China cup of tea this morning. You're in your Morocco top.
You like that?
Yeah.
You like that?
This is feeling very North African, like
Habibi.
Exactly. There you go.
Listen. Morocco's back, baby. Africa's back, baby. Come on now.
Actually, I could do with a coffee. That's a good point. That's just reminded me. I'll sort that out in the next break.
Is that? Are you telling that to Sam? Is that the call?
No, I'm not that guy. I mean, I am that guy. Yeah. I'm 100% that guy. There we go. You are watching the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi. We've got so much still to come on the show. Sounds like Mbizo, our great friend, is going to join us to talk some Morocco.
Yes.
Coming up shortly. We're also got the great Troy Deeney on the show later on as well. So brilliant show coming up. But let's turn our attention to a couple of the nations who crashed out of the tournament at the round of 32 last night. And
not everyone can be Paraguay, Will.
Germany,
not everyone can be.
Yeah, I'm amazed it took that long. And you haven't mentioned the Arsenal players yet that scored goals yesterday.
We're talking international here. Let's lock in on Paraguay, Germany.
Listen, since winning the World Cup, out in the group stage, now in the round of 32. Julian Nagelsmann said in his post-game press conference that he intends to stay on, but is that what the nation want? Well, I'm delighted to say that talkSPORT commentator doing the game for us for talkSPORT, and also a Bundesliga legend and commentator, the great Kev Hatchard, is in the house. Kevin, how are you, brother?
Hello. How are we?
Have you recovered from last night
Lovely.
yet?
Just about. I'm on voice rest, but I've made an exception for you, Will.
No.
So there you go.
And Master.
Of course.
I mean, let's be honest. The relationship lasts a little longer. I just met him like 2 months ago, so yeah.
Don't you worry. We'll get there.
Kev, was this Germany performance coming? Should we have seen this coming? Are you stunned that they've gone out and lost their first ever penalty shootout at a World Cup?
I think what's become clear is this Germany team is not the Germany team of old, in the sense that all of the values that people ascribe to German teams at this level, never say die attitude, incredible physicality, that ironclad mentality that regardless of what happens in the game, Germany will always come through and win, that's long gone. And that's not even necessarily a massive dig at the current players. It's just that can happen. You know, you can have identity shifts and you can have cultural, generational shifts that happen. But this was a team that never looked comfortable. Even against Curaçao, there was a 20-odd minute spell where they didn't play well. Curaçao got their goal. There were vulnerabilities in there. And then you look at the game against Ivory Coast and they kept on just trying to force it through the middle. It wasn't happening. They needed Dennis Undav and Nadim Amiri to come on and change the game. And then you look at the third game against Ecuador. He picked a strong team. He wanted to maintain that momentum. And Ecuador were deserved winners. And I thought they bullied Germany. And there was an element of that with Paraguay as well. They were physical with them. They were getting under their skin. And Germany just did not do enough. That's the truth of it. Yes, they were unlucky with the VAR call. I still have my doubts about whether that was the right call in truth, but I think even if they'd gone through, I think they would have masked what was quite a tepid performance.
Let's go into that call. Did you agree with it on the pitch? Did you feel the VAR process was adequate? A lot of German fans obviously pointing towards that and saying this game should have been over in 90 minutes. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I think the goal should stand. I think actually, if you look at it, Orlando Heel goes into Anton. Anton standing his grounds. There's been talk that he grabbed onto the goalkeeper. He didn't. He had his arms kind of out. And I think Heel has bumped into him and sold the decision, because that's one of those decisions that you actually, on the field, you give the goal. But with VAR, with everything slowed down and everything magnified, you then take it away. But I think if that had been pre-VAR, that's a goal. And I just think the goalkeeper wasn't strong enough. So, for me, that goal should have stood and Germany will feel they should have gone on and won the game.
I don't know if you've caught much of talkSPORT this morning, considering you were doing this game last night, but we heard Jurgen Klopp on TV yesterday say that if that was Arsenal, that goal would have stood. That was put to Emmanuel Petit, who wasn't very happy with it particularly. Like, do we think this is a little bit of a reaction to the, what's going on in the box, being less lenient on it, coming down on it a bit, and it's just Germany have been the ones that have suffered from it first and foremost?
Yeah, maybe. I think there is a correction. It's gone too far the other way, I think, in the season just gone. I think some of the wrestling in the penalty area is ridiculous. So they do need to get a handle on it. There's no doubt about that. But I just think VAR got involved. I would have liked the referee to stick with the decision, to be honest, because I thought it was the right one. I think it's clear to me that the goalkeeper's selling the decision. He knows he's not going to get there, and Anton just stands his ground. It's a tricky one, but look, that's a kind of small thing within the game. Obviously, if Germany score, then it's very different, and Paraguay were probably out on their feet at that stage. But look, this was coming. If Germany had got through, they may well have lost to Sweden. They certainly would have lost to France. We don't know what's going to happen in that game. But this was a German team that I said throughout I didn't feel was going to win the World Cup. I didn't feel it was in that group with Argentina, with Spain, with France. And that probably tells you a lot. And I think there's talent in certain areas. I think they lack talent in others. I think defensively there are problems. Jonathan Tah has had success in recent years, but I'm not sure he's a world-class defender. They lost Nico Schlotterbeck to injury. Rudiger, I think, is haphazard. And you look at the fullbacks. Nathaniel Brown was fine. They've got two good attacking left-backs. Who's the right-back? Joshua Kimmich, and you're taking him out of midfield. And they clearly realised that wasn't the right thing to do, because at one stage they put Anton out there and he's like a fridge on wheels. So you can't really have a situation where you don't have a quality right back, and that's been the issue for Germany for quite some time.
So do we blame the players? Do we blame German football? Do we blame Nagelsmann? Who is at fault here for this particular World Cup? But I mean, I guess we could look at a whole in terms of what they've done the last three World Cups since they won. It's been disappointment and embarrassment after embarrassment.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of blame for everyone. I think Nagelsmann certainly has to look at, did he persist with Leroy Sané for too long? Did he make the right call starting Dennis Undav rather than keeping him as the impact sub that's made such a difference? I mean, it's easy to say in hindsight. You could understand why he picked Undav over Musiala, because Undav's form was better. But Nagelsmann's been quite critical of Undav, and you've got to think, well, did you do the right thing by starting him? Sané, I think, has had a really poor tournament. And I would have liked to have seen a change there. They were a little bit unlucky with some injuries. They lost Gnabry, they lost Lennart Karl. I think those two could have made a big difference in the tournament. They lost Nico Schlotterbeck during the tournament, and he's important with his distribution, punching the ball through the lines and trying to open up spaces there. Florian Wirtz, I thought, was fine. I thought he was one of the ones who was trying to carry the fight, was trying to make things happen. Brilliant cross for the goal from Havertz. So... not mega disappointed with him necessarily, but Musiala's off the back of a really serious injury, and you could see the frustration because he launched into a challenge.
Yeah, I thought he was very lucky there, Kev. I thought if he catches him with the front foot, then he's going, and you could argue it was dangerous in the first place.
Intent alone, he should have gone. Absolutely. So... look, he never does that. That's not his game at all. So it just shows you the frustration. Joshua Kimmich was quite open about it afterwards. He said, look, we didn't perform. This isn't on the coach. This isn't on the bosses. We really struggled in 3 games in a row. We didn't do enough.
So what on earth do you do then? How do you change that? How do you, there is a clearly a talent void. There is a coaching void maybe as well. The German public aren't happy with Nagelsmann this morning by the sounds of it. And yet I think it's really telling that the VAR decision, while being heavily discussed and being pointed at, is not being wholly blamed for this, because the performances themselves haven't been good enough. Robert Huth came on air this morning and said 99% of German people would want Jurgen Klopp to take the job. Is that a possibility? Do you believe that would make a difference?
That's the clamour. Yeah, I think he would change it. I've got a lot of time for Nagelsmann. Will, you know that. I've been a big fan of his for a long, long time now, best part of a decade now. And this is a guy that I think is still really smart and I think has actually made good strides with Germany. I think this is a real shame in a way, because I thought at the Euros they got to the quarters, they pushed Spain all the way on home soil. If they got that Cucurella handball decision, maybe they could have gone through and we'd be talking about a team that went all the way in the Euros, but that didn't happen. They fell apart in the Nations League, which was a real shame. But this feels like a real step backwards. And this feels like a mentality issue. Unfortunately, I don't think it's a talent issue, actually. I think Wirtz is still a top player. I think Havertz is a guy that has just won the Premier League and is a key player for Arsenal when he's fit. Musiala, it's unfortunate he's coming back from injury, but he's a top player. They've got talent in there. but there is a mentality issue. For whatever reason, there is a mentality issue. 2018, Jogi Löw went on a tournament too long. 2022, I thought they were a bit unlucky under Hansi Flick. They actually played some really good football and got done by Japan beating Spain in the final round of matches. Nobody saw that coming necessarily. So, yeah, it's a really thorny one. The clamour will be non-stop for Klopp. Absolutely. The German public want him in the job. He's being coy about it at the moment. I think that's the only job he goes back into coaching for.
Non-stop for Klopp sounds like an American chant that we need, yes. We need to be bringing out, Master. Non-stop for Klopp. Non-stop for Klopp.
You see, it was an Englishman that brought it up. It wasn't an American that made that chant up. But speaking of America, the USA did beat Paraguay, and everyone thought that was a cupcake nation. But we saw now the physicality and the aggressiveness that they played with Germany. I mean, we have to give some praise and credit to Paraguay for the performance.
Unbelievable story as well. Where they were in qualifying to where they are now, astonishing.
You have to give them all the praise in the world. We could. The temptation is to lean into what's happened to Germany, and that's a massive story, and that's clear. And we did that in commentary, but we also tried to praise Paraguay because this was a phenomenal effort. When you think that they lost in Zito to injury, their guys were out on their feet towards the end. They really were. That Galaza, bless him, I thought his legs were going to fall off. I mean, it was just an incredible performance from him. And he stepped up to take a pen, which I thought was phenomenal from him. This is a team that never gives up because they looked out of it in qualifying, as you say, Will. 1 win, 1 goal in the first 6 qualifiers. Finished 6th, turned it round. They looked dead and buried in this tournament, having lost 4-1 to the US. But they managed to beat Turkey, even though they had 10 men for a big chunk of the game. And then they managed to get that golden straw with Australia and snuck through in 3rd place. They're playing with house money. They getting to this stage is huge for them. You could argue getting to the first World Cup since 2010 is huge. So whatever happens here, it's all bonus.
July 4th in Philadelphia, France or Sweden. Kev Hatchard, go rest that voice. You've got plenty more World Cup to enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
What a guy. Master, it's interesting something you said earlier, actually, because I was wondering if we'd do it on the show today, but I feel like you've nixed it a little bit. But it's just something I wanted to put out into the world. No, like live on air.
Okay.
We had some jokes in the group last night when you had a winning goal from Martinelli, when you had Kai Havertz doing his thing. There was some Laura Kirk-Francis.
The assist from Gabriel.
There was some Harry Symeou, and there was certainly some Master Tesfazian giving it the Arsenal. And I don't know why social media annoyed me last night, because I'm just like, I'm trying to enjoy a World Cup. Why are we suddenly getting into beefs from 3 months ago when it was all Arsenal versus everyone and everything else? Like, you won the title, you had a great year, you had a wonderful, wonderful parade and everything else. Like, let's all enjoy the World Cup together instead of trying to start all these rivalries back up online. We can get back to that in August and September. Let's enjoy it. Otherwise, I'd point out that 2 Arsenal players missed penalties. Otherwise, I'd say, oh, if we get a penalty shootout, do I want Eberici Eze stepping up? Maybe not. Like, all of that is true, and I just like...
You have said that about Eze, though.
Yeah. And I'd say about Noni as well. And honestly, with the way that Arsenal players are missing penalties, I might say about Rice and Saka as well, let's be honest. But last night, found myself rolling my eyes and being like, come on, guys. Let's all just enjoy the World Cup together, and then we can get back to hating each other for our clubs.
No, but listen, the point is, everyone was knocking the style of play that Arsenal was playing, and you look in this tournament, and people like yourself are like, oh, Declan Rice, set piece FC, ole, ole. All of a sudden, like, the style of play that Arsenal plays, we're seeing it on display for many of these teams as they're trying to combat and counter dealing with low blocks. And there's a lot of similarities to that. And particularly with England. You can't watch England and not think there is a lot of similarities with the way that they're playing, with the way that Arsenal plays. So... yeah, and especially yesterday where you've seen all the Arsenal players having success, but you see I didn't bring it up because of the missed penalties. So I was trying to avoid it.
I was wondering if you're feeling a bit sheepish on that front today. Yeah. I was wondering if
I got a little PTSD. When Kai Havertz missed that pin, and all of a sudden I'm looking down at you and you're just laughing and you're saying Arsenal in the group chat. I'm like, do we need to bring up Arsenal? I don't know. Jurgen Klopp can bring it up. I'll leave that to Jurgen Klopp and Emmanuel Petit. How about that?
And let's be honest, Antonio Rudiger there in an NFL stadium looking like he's the new kicker for the Patriots, did have some shades of the Champions League final. I'm so sorry, I had to do it.
Can we go to break?
I love you, brother.
Can we go to break?
Yes, we can, because we've got some wonderful guests still coming up on the show. Troy Deeney's going to be here. Omar Raja's
Remind me how Tottenham did again? How did Reading do?
Who am I a fan of at this point? It is who we are. Whether Tottenham, whether Reading, that's who we are. We are not a team that are winning Premier League titles, let's be honest. The great Mbizo Zamamane joins us up next, because I love him so much. I love him so much.
Why'd you say it's so sensual?
I don't know. I got really into it. Because this Morocco team get me excited. That's why he's up next here on the S1.
Habibi.
Sponsored by Catchy.
The daily deep dive into the world of football. The S Word from talkSPORT.
people who love football in North America. And I mean the proper kind, where you only use your feet.
The S Word
from talkSPORT.
You're back with the S Word from talkSPORT. I'm Will Gavin. Master Tesfatsion is live in Los Angeles, California. Lots of you getting in touch on the chat on both the talkSPORT YouTube channel and the talkSPORT S Word YouTube channel. We're live there. We're live on Sirius XM FC. So if you're listening on the radio, you can get in touch with us there. Apologies when we do things like On the Beach and you're just hearing music and us giggling to ourselves. But I promise you, go and check it out on social. It is funny, I hope.
But also, shout out to the Sirius XM crew, too.
Yeah,
everyone listening to
100%.
Sirius XM. Shout out to you guys.
And
waking up in the mornings, on your commutes, getting ready. You know, this is the first show they're probably listening to as they're recapping what they watched yesterday. Shout out to everybody listening on Sirius XM. I get so many messages from friends, from people on social media who are checking us out on there. So it's an amazing experience. Thank you for starting your mornings with us every day during the World Cup.
Beautiful stuff. Also on TuneIn Radio, we're there as well. The podcast is available there. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, in video form, Tubi, so many places you can find this show. So we appreciate everyone who's been loving it and getting in touch and enjoying the stuff on social. Leo did say, and let's just bring it back for a moment. Let's just get the lays out. Let's get the sunglasses out. We're double glassing. We're throwing the beach balls. And he did point out that if we're going to be going on the beach, we might need those hydration breaks. So,
Listen.
You'd enjoy that.
I am a big proponent of hydration breaks. So, you see me sipping this tea. I got my water right here, too, double bevved up. We're ready to go.
Coming in from Lunker on the
you can
YouTube
barely speak.
Stuff, yeah, I clearly need some hydration.
You need some water.
Desperately need some water up in here. Still haven't had that coffee, by the way. Any chance? Any danger? Come on. I can't even play that character. It makes me so sick. Lucas says, Morocco are a very good team while the Netherlands haven't been good for a long time. And that's been a theme going through a bunch of them. Patio Joe, friend of the show, gets in touch and says, those games yesterday were incredible. Morocco could have won by way more if Verbruggen hadn't kept the Dutch in, but he did say he thought the Tar goal was a goal. Brucey comes in and says the same. The refs have been letting every soft borderline call go so far, and yet that foul on the goalkeeper suddenly doesn't get given. Before we get to Mbizo, I have liked so far that the referees have been letting guys play. I've been liking that overall people have been allowed to be physical and we've not been seeing stuff blown up constantly. I think that's a real reason the games have felt like they've had a better flow to them despite the hydration breaks.
The Netherlands, Morocco in particular, what a physical game that was. I mean, literally, blood was shed on both sides of the pitch. The four jerseys had to be changed because they were torn and ripped, and just the physicality, some of the challenges that were the audacity, the daringness that both sides showed, putting their bodies on the line. That to me, it was the officiating on that one. I loved every second of it. Put the cards away, let the boys play, and whoever's best after 90 minutes, 120 minutes, or after penalties, rightfully deserve to advance. So the officiating on that one, no qualms, no complaints whatsoever. Let them play. Play on for me.
Now, we touched on it earlier in the show, but let's get stuck into Morocco. Morocco! What is that? Jason Morocco. The excellent win against, it was very Alan Brazil, that. Let's get stuck into Morocco's excellent win against the Netherlands last night. I'm delighted to say, joining us now, friend of the show. He's our South African friend in Brazil enjoying the World Cup, coming on to talk Morocco with us. The international flavours that Mbizo Zamane brings us. Mbizo, how are you, brother?
Hey, gentlemen, how you guys doing? Y'all good?
We cannot complain, sir.
I think I see a Moroccan kid over there too, don't I? We all Moroccoed out on this show, aren't we? Hey, there he is. There he is. There he is.
I have to say, overall, one of the things that's been refreshing about this, we had Michael Hu on yesterday, and we talked a lot about this in the last 24 hours or so. I revelled in Germany and the Netherlands going out last night. We love seeing that people have been our rivals over the years. We as English fans, we enjoy watching them go out. I'd say outside of our Ghanaian friend on the other side of the glass mentioning that Nigeria are out at the World Cup at every single possible juncture that he can.
Very Ghanaian.
Like, the support of African nations for other African nations, if they're not going head-to-head, has been wonderful to see. It's just been like, everyone wants to see it lifted up.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And actually, it's always been that way. It's always been that way. And of course, we know that football is something of a metaphor for life. And I think those of us who are truly passionate fans tend to understand that. So it's really about, one team in Africa, when it plays, when it wins, when it does well. It tends to be a reflection on all of us. It may not necessarily, it's not supposed to be that way per se, but that's the way that it is. And we accept it that way. So we sort of are stressed 9 times out of 10 this time around, for example, when African teams play. And this time it's really paying off because, the football that Morocco played yesterday was just unbelievable. I mean, they were so vastly superior. And I've seen that on a number of occasions before, African teams outplaying European teams, but not getting the job done. So to see Morocco actually get over the line It's absolutely delightful. And I have all my jerseys lined up for the rest of the games so that when they play, I'll have them on.
And Bizo, I know what you mean in terms of that, but 70% possession against the Netherlands. The Netherlands coming in with the back five, showing that much respect to Morocco. This feels like a changing of the times where it's no longer this, they're going to play a low block. Morocco took it to them. And rightfully, football won as a result of that, where Morocco it felt like the bigger nation compared to the Netherlands in the way that they performed.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely correct. But I'll be honest with you, Master. I'm not surprised at all. Anyone who has been watching Morocco over the past couple of seasons, anyone who watched Morocco versus Brazil, and yes, okay, Brazil may not be the one that we've become accustomed to seeing at World Cups. The quality maybe is a little bit less, but this is Brazil. This is a team that has a jersey with the heaviest weight in world football, with the oldest history, the oldest tradition, that has some of the most magical players in world football still. And the way that they played against Brazil was similar, maybe a little bit more even that game, and I think that the final results demonstrated that. But I had absolutely no surprises for me in that game, that Morocco dominated possession in that way. Yes, to a certain extent, that level of domination may have been a little bit surprising, but if you look at the way that Morocco presses, if you look at the way that they push ball in the middle of the park, I mean, Azedine Ounahi, for me, for example, is just absolutely untouchable when he has the ball. I mean, these guys in the middle of the park, it's breathtaking football, really. And it's funny because, as a South African, as an African, I've seen them, traumatize us on the continent with this football during AFCON. So it's just absolutely delightful to see them doing it to someone else. It's a relief to see them doing it to someone else off of the continent. But absolutely no surprises from me at all. I mean, this is a quality team. I even asked in one of my football groups, half in jest, but half seriously asking. I asked this, is Morocco perhaps better than Holland on paper? I mean, it's a genuine question for me. It's a genuine question. I'm absolutely delighted with the result.
We're having a slight problem with your mic, Ibiza, so we're just going to see if we can fix that, and we'll come back to you in a moment if we can. In the meantime, it's a really interesting topic of conversation, actually, that I mentioned at the top there, Master, that I love the way the African nations support each other and come out for each other, and you've been out there wearing a kit for everyone that you possibly can, and obviously a lot of people couldn't get into the country in the early stages, and it was particularly the continent of Africa that suffered from those restrictions. The fact that this all comes off the back of an African Cup of Nations final where we still don't really all agree on who is the champion of the continent right now. I think we all agree, but the world governing bodies don't necessarily agree, is maybe the point I'm making. It's still amazing to me that all of that is still true when actually you could have been coming in here at the most fractious point that the continent's ever seen footballing wise.
I think that's the most beautiful part of all this, is that even despite the contentiousness that existed from the AFCON final, whether you are African and you thought Senegal won the final, or if you feel Morocco won the final, you can still come together here at this World Cup and realize it's still going to be Africa versus everyone. And that is the sentiment I think, I'm displaying, obviously. I think that's the sentiment Mbizo's displaying. And I think all across the continent, because more often than not, we all deal with the same plight of people feeling like our style of play is less than, our confederation is less than, our tournament is less than. And when you see, obviously we talk about the Cape Verdes and you see it from one end of the spectrum, but then you see it on the other end of the spectrum where, we are producing Goliaths, and seeing what Morocco was doing and how they built out their infrastructure, how they built out their style of play. I'm going to disagree with Mbizo just a little bit, because I get it and I understand Morocco has displayed this free-flowing style of play now recently, but that wasn't still necessarily the case at AFCON. And with some of the injuries that they had, it was a bit of concern if they did face a team like the Netherlands, with no disrespect to Brazil, but Brazil defensively has their own questions and issues. But coming up against a team against the Netherlands, this was a great test to see if they could still play that, forward, attacking, aggressive style And not only did they do that, the Netherlands respected that before the match even started with the way that they lined up. And I think that, to me, is a changing of the signs, is a changing of the guard, where when you do face these African nations, you better do your research, you better do your homework, and you better come prepared, because if you walk in there thinking it's going to be a layup and it's going to be an easy match, as some of these Dutch former national team players thought that they wouldn't have to worry about Morocco, and now they're going back home in Amsterdam, and I'm not saying any players on the team were, but some former Dutch international players were very confident and boasting of the fact that they felt like Morocco was going to be a good, easy victory for themselves. They're second-guessing themselves now, and rightfully so.
And listen, as much respect as we gave to Canada after that win in Los Angeles yesterday, and as much as respect as we give to Jesse Marsh on this show, arguably already in the round of 16, you're seeing of all the teams, they are the most beatable through so far, right? I would say if the Netherlands felt like if they were facing Canada in Houston, they'd fancy themselves to win that. Suddenly you're in a quarterfinals, you're in the dance, who knows what could happen. Instead, you're going to be seeing the same from Morocco. I'm not saying Canada's a pushover by any stretch of the imagination, but this Morocco team should be able to deal with what Canada have to offer, as much as this run's been magical, as much as they had the brilliant late win yesterday, like as much as they're already Canadian heroes. And then you start to look beyond it and you say, well, it could be a rematch with France. If France get that far, Paraguay have given teams some troubles. Obviously, they're going to have them in the round of 16, and you're back in the quarters again. You're back in the semis again. Like, this is a Morocco team which I think maybe we weren't talking about that in that same way we were from 4 years ago. I think people who don't watch the AFCON qualifiers, who don't watch the African Cup of Nations until we get to the very latter stages, maybe didn't give them that respect. Maybe thought it was a lucky run to get through to that point last year.
People were still calling them dark horses, Will.
Yeah.
They were still describing Morocco. They were describing a semifinalist from 2022 that only got better as a dark horse. No, they're not a dark horse. They're not. They should be respected in the same ways that you feel some of the front runners are of this World Cup. And if you continue to view them as a dark horse and continue to undermine the fact of how far they've come and where they currently stand in the World Cup, in international football, then joke's on you. And ultimately, you're going to end up like the Netherlands. You're going to go home.
Listen, Troy Deeney's going to be joining us coming up momentarily. The great Troy Deeney. He's been great fun when he's been in with Jim and with Simon in. Do you know they're on the 50th floor of the World Trade Center? I don't know if Jim has ever mentioned that at all.
You know what? This is the first time I'm hearing about this, Will.
Actually, from the show today, don't go away from our show. Stick with us till 3 o'clock. But it's well worth checking out on social media. The window cleaners on the World Trade Center turned up with signs in the background today, and it's a very funny clip. I saw it earlier. It's really, really great.
But 3 o'clock your time, that would be
10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. on the Pacific.
Hey, there you go.
8 a.m. Mountain, 9 a.m. Central. Sorry.
There you go.
Respect to in Mexico City, that's going to be, I think, 7 a.m. 8 a.m. 8 a.m. I think Mexico's 7 hours. Yes, I do. Because I'm trying to get the guys to come on the show after the game tomorrow. Mexico taking on Ecuador tonight, by the way, and that will, of course, be England's opponent should they get past the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Hey, slow down now. Slow down, Will.
Assuming.
Slow down, Will.
No assumptions.
Slow down, buddy.
But we're gonna
don't get AFCON. don't. You saw what happened when you underestimated Africa.
We're not going to get AFCON. It's going to be fine. I believe.
Don't do it.
I believe.
Don't do it.
So we'll talk about that coming up as well. But Troy Deeney joins us coming up in the next hour. Omar Raja will be here as well. Plus, we'll look forward to these 3 big games tonight as the round of 32 continues in the World Cup. Here on the S Word, sponsored by Calci.
Around here, we only use the F word.
talkSPORT presents
The S word.
S Word, featuring Will Gavin and Master Tess Fassian. And a squad of big-name contributors. The S Word from talkSPORT.
Are you here with the S Word, sponsored by Cauchy? I'm Will Gavin, live here in London. The great Master Tess Fatsian out in Los Angeles, California. We've been looking back on the action from the games last night. Germany out, Netherlands out, Morocco advance, Paraguay advance. Who saw that coming? Well, we maybe have said a little bit of it on the show. Plus,
Mike
Japan.
Mike LaHoo called it.
He did.
He called it yesterday.
Very
Mike
much
LaHoo
did.
called it.
Undoubtedly did. This hour, Omar Raja will join us on the show. We'll look forward to 3 massive games tonight as well. And maybe we'll just start a little look forward to Wednesday, because both the USMNT and the UKMNT, as we can now call them because Scotland are out of the competition, England are playing tomorrow.
UKMNT?
It's something I'm trying.
Absolute disgrace.
Just giving it a go. Just giving it a go.
What?
Just throwing one at you. Just seeing how you feel to it. Just roll with the punches, Master, and we'll move on to our guest.
Also, because you did correct Bomani when he was on the show last month, when he said he was calling the England national team the United Kingdom, and you're like,
yeah.
I don't know about that. So now
it's mainly Siobhan's coming in the studio. Siobhan's coming in the studio tomorrow, and I'm definitely going to use UKMNT around her to wind her up. That's basically. So I was testing the waters today, just giving it a little taste. But I'm delighted to say our next guest joining us now. You'll have seen him out in New York with the guys at White and Jordan. I'm sure he's having a wonderful time out there in upstate. And joins the show now is the Birmingham Watford legend Troy Deeney is with us. Troy, how are you, brother?
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
I'm a huge fan of you clapping yourself as well there. That's
I'm clapping you.
Troy, just want to start off with last night. I don't know how much of the action you caught, but Germany and the Netherlands going out to Morocco and Paraguay. What did you make of what we saw?
I think the Dutch one is more of a, you can make a rationale behind it against Morocco. Obviously, that was in my opinion, that was a coin toss. You don't know who to pick. It played out exactly how we thought. Really tight, cagey affair. The penalties were amazing, though, weren't they? When you really think about it, every single time we get to a penalty shootout, everyone who's at home says, "Oh, it's easy, just do that," or at training grounds, just do that. You see the emotion, you see the pressure that gets onto people, and they miss. But just go to Germany. Wow. I went and watched the game against Ecuador at the weekend. I was there live. Thought they were very, very poor. Very bad average in what they were doing. Very laboured as well in their approach. And then yesterday, obviously, I worked for CBS as well. So we did the show and we got to speak to Jens Lehmann literally 10 minutes after the game. And his emotional response, but also the calmness of it, wasn't one of disappointment in that they were shocked and, oh my God, this rage. It was actually like, this has been coming. We know it's been coming. We also don't really. He kind of took a shot at the manager, but in a professional way. He said, like, look, the manager's never been at this level. He's never played at this level. His backroom staff have never had anyone at this level. And he just thought that they missed a trick there, not having somebody that had been there before, just to speak to the players and go, hey, this is what World Cups look like. Hey, this is what we're supposed to do. So the Germany one, for me, I think the ripple effect on that's going to be huge. But Paraguay, wow. To get smacked, and I mean absolutely mollywopped by the US in the first game, to then do what they're doing now, fair play to them.
Just quickly on that Jens Lehmann point, because, yeah, like you say, the headline is he came out and essentially said because he's not been a top-tier player, he doesn't necessarily know how to instill that in the squad. As a player, yeah, you'll have had managers who are both former players and not, I'm sure. Like, do you buy into what he's saying there? Do you think that there is a real advantage to be gained by somebody of having experience of playing a major tournament?
I don't know. It's 50-50, isn't it? Because you could say Arsene Wenger and Jose Mourinho were top players and look how great they've been. I think what he was trying to do, again, the headline of it is poor because it's not actually what he said. What he was alluding to was when you're talking about top key moments, it's always great to have somebody in your staff that's been there that you can bounce off, even as a younger coach, that you can bounce your ideas off as a sounding board and what you can get. He also said like Manuel Neuer is the most experienced there, not only as a player, but also with the coaching. He's the most experienced. So it was I thought it was a very fair, measured assessment. I don't buy into that because ultimately, if that was the premise, it'd be about 15 people that have managers' jobs, and there'd be about 6 people that are allowed to talk about football. Like, we wouldn't be allowed to talk about football if that was the case, you know? None of us have played in World Cup, so we shouldn't be allowed to talk about it if you go on that premise. But I think ultimately, there is some truth to that. I think I had a very brief time as a coach, but when you are young and you're trying to get you're excited, you want to do everything. There's a moment you need that little bit of experience to lean on, and sometimes just as a sounding board. I thought it was really interesting chat. Since 2014, they've been on a steady decline, and it doesn't show any signs that they know what they're doing and what their identity is.
With Carlo Ancelotti, I want to turn real quick to Brazil, Troy.
Yes.
And this feels like 2023 Real Madrid, where there's no reason why they should find ways to win, but Carlo Ancelotti, you talk about coaches that just knows how to make the right decisions, has a great gut feel, and tactically it may not get enough credit for some of the decision-making he makes. How has he given Brazil and this team and this nation some hope now?
It's a great point, because I think also as well, his decision-making kind of gets overlooked. He gave Neymar a few minutes at the end of the qualified game, the third game that they played. So he kind of like scratched that itch of when's Neymar going to play. But if you remember, behind the scenes, the president of Brazil was talking about how Neymar is the first work-from-home football player that you've ever seen. So there's a political pressure that's there. So his mind to go, okay, let me just dampen that. Look, he's here, he's available. But then yesterday, the ability to go. The pressure would have been building Neymar, because we're not doing much in the creative end. But he went, no, actually, let me go with Enric. Let me put him in, and he's in there. And now Neymar didn't even come on. But no one's talking about Neymar today. But imagine if they would have lost and Neymar hadn't played a minute. It would all be about Neymar. So I think his ability to handle the moments, realise what it needs. You look at someone like Thiago, who was fantastic for Brentford, missed a massive chance in that first game against Morocco. He's hardly seen the pitch again. But I guarantee you, he will come good in the next couple of weeks, because they will need him. But the manager's smart enough to go, okay, you missed a chance. People got onto you. Come and sit next to me. I know you're going to be frustrated. I know you want to get back in. But when I do drop you back in, you're going to be ready. So I think he's brilliant. And his man management is fantastic. Again, you probably watched it, guys, and same as I did. I didn't see a team that was like, oh, they could win it. But I also didn't see that when Real Madrid won the Champions League, to your point, Master. I'm like, I don't know why. There's loads of flaws, but they just keep winning. And I don't know how we're going to stop them.
Troy, yeah, that's the problem. They've just got better. Yeah. They've just got a little incrementally better. And the top tier teams in this tournament haven't been brilliant yet. I mean, arguably France, but they're still suspect at the back. Like, I don't know. I'm starting to just ever so slightly believe that if you come up against that Brazil team, as England will, if they get to that stage, then...
Slow down.
Slow down. When we get to that? When we get to that? We're in the States. Basta, please.
Troy.
Do me a favour, right? I'm living in America now. I have heard from the week before this competition started, Pochettino, he only wants to be here for a little bit. He's gone. What are we going to do after? We win a few games, the Americans, give him a 10-year contract, we're going to win the World Cup. And now us from England, who normally get to quarterfinals, semi-finals, should calm down. Hey, I'm not taking that.
Yeah,
I'm not taking
we're
it.
Constantly told that we have to be like, stop being pessimistic, start believing in your team more. Like, you know, now that I'm being optimistic, and I'm saying that half against Croatia and the way the team's growing, I am ready for England to be successful. I believe it will happen. In the American words, I believe that we will win. And now we're getting told, calm down, you haven't beaten Congo yet.
It's going to be a tough game, though.
It will be. My concern with England is you're going to face a low block once again, and that has been the Achilles heel for England, and particularly this side. Is we saw a little bit of that against Panama, but was it enough, Troy? Was that enough of a performance for you to feel comfortable that this England side, these players, can break down a low block and beat a team like DR Congo?
No, is the honest answer, and I keep getting criticised for being the most pessimistic and saying I haven't seen enough yet, or I haven't even seen a clear identity, to be totally honest with you. But if we're being totally neutral and totally fair, everything we're giving Carlo Ancelotti and Brazil credit for, that's exactly what England are doing. but we don't get the same credence to it. Does that make sense? Like, we've played low blocks, we haven't lost, we're somehow winning, but we don't feel you with confidence. But Brazil, that's great, and it feels like they're going to go on to win it. With England, it's when are they going out? Does that make any sense?
England has a better roster, though. Like this Brazilian side, we've been arguing whether this might be talent-wise one of the worst Brazil sides that we've seen. I don't know if you could say the same about England. I feel like there's a lot of quality on the side to the point where you could argue that there's players that should have made this roster that unfortunately there's just not enough spots for them.
No, I agree with that. I love that shirt, by the way.
You got it from Piccadilly Circus somewhere.
Very much an Etsy job, but you know.
I'm going to say I'm not trusting Tuchel just yet. He's got a bit more to do for me. But no, I think when you talk about the better squads, I think it's more about the media presence. Do you get what I mean? Because when you look at like Brazil, if everyone's fit, Rafinha, Vini Jr., and then you take a pick of whoever you want. João Pedro, if he was English, would be with the national team, wouldn't he? But he didn't make the Brazilian team. So I think they're very comparable in where they're at and what they're trying to do. I just think sometimes the English media, and that is me in this situation as well, we build players up because we're in the Premier League, we watch them every week, and we're like, oh my God, they're amazing, they're amazing, they're amazing. We get to the World Cup or Euros and we're like, they just don't do it. But we actually don't take a little step back and say, hey, well, are these guys main players for their teams? So again, let's just use Phil Foden. This is not a Phil Foden bashing by any stretch. But do you remember all of the talk about Phil Foden and how great he was? It was also because he had Kevin De Bruyne in the team. It's also because he had a Ballon d'Or of Rodri in the team that allowed. So when you're a coach of the opposition team, respectfully to Phil Foden, you try to stop Kevin De Bruyne, you try to stop Haaland, you try to stop all of these other players, and not he slips through the cracks, but he doesn't get as much attention, so he gets to perform at the best level. Now, when he goes into England and he's the starting number 10, we're trying to stop you, because we know if we stop you, that means Harry Kane can't perform. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
That's a great point.
But
complete.
But that's where Jude Bellingham comes into it for me now, because when he moved into the 8, I thought he was sensational in that Panama game and was the reason we won it. And I know obviously the assist and the goal are proof for it, but he just was do it all, and that's why I believe in this England team, because those pieces are there. Because I truly think there are world beaters in the team. I just have the question marks over everything that goes around it. So we're hearing Jarrell Kwanzaa increasingly likely to miss this game tomorrow, right? So Jed Spence will start at running back.
Can I just dive in really
back at right back?
Run it back to you in a few more months. No, can I just dive in really quickly on that element? And I was just having a little bit of a rant to one of my friends about this earlier today. Isn't it amazing? Maybe a month ago, there was a genuine debate with people whether Jude Bellingham, A, should be in the squad, B, should even be starting behind Morgan Rogers. I'm one of the few people that was like, I can't even believe this is a discussion, whatever. He now starts to... Oh, God.
A little bit Birmingham history there. I was going to say that. No. You've got that love. That's
but Morgan Rogers' family and my friends, my close personal friends, so I've actually got more of an allegiance to Morgan Rogers, not because he plays for Villa. Obviously, I hope he moves as quickly as possible. But that's another thing for another day. But what I'm saying is actually when you look at it, unfortunately, when you play for Real Madrid, you're just probably better. You know, let's call it a square. They go and get the best players for a reason. And I just think in all those big moments, Jude Bellingham has always stepped up for us. Now, you can say, is his personality and his character and his ego too big for some people? Yeah, but isn't that what superstars do?
Love it.
Isn't that what they're supposed to do?
Yeah.
And we're meant to go around, like, look at Argentina's squad, in the last World Cup and now this. Do they all go, oh, Messi doesn't run back enough? Oh, Messi's not doing enough chat. It's like, no, he's Messi. We have to give him the framework to do what he needs to do. And that's what I think England need to do as well. Give the team to Jude. This is your team. Whether you make him captain or not, I personally don't think he should be captain. I think he's too emotional at this moment in time. But if you gave him the team and said, right, go and play, go and do what you need to do, he'll be fantastic, and he will develop that. The other element to this whole conversation is, you played him as an 8 because we decided to bow to pressure. This is not what Thomas Tuchel's done, but what has all of that week leading up to it was, again, in the big tough games, you went with 2 pivots in Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice. And now in this game where it was kind of a free hit, kind of a free. It was already through no matter what. Just what side of the bracket we fell on. Oh, we'll then do that. It's the only thing I haven't liked about Thomas Tuchel. He keeps telling me one thing and then doing something different. We're going to be front-footed, we're fearful, we'll do all of this stuff. Oh, by the way, we're going to play exactly like Gareth Southgate.
But for me,
I agree.
That's where Bellingham. I think that's where it's not playing like Southgate, because when you're playing with the double pivot and maybe you come up against a France or a Brazil or something like that, and they do move back to that, and
we've done it once in 3 games.
I'm like, why not?
I expected more variety. That was the whole thing about Tuchel, was that you were expecting the variety, you were expecting this tactical genius, you were expecting different starting 11s each time depending on who the opponent is, and now it's a big question: is do you play Rice and Anderson in this match, considering that you're going to be facing another low block?
Here we go. We don't know the teams. We don't know anything. You have to put £100,000 of your hard-earned money on it. And we go 2 pivots or we go 1?
I personally go 1.
No. Not what we would do. What's he going to do?
Oh, I thought
he's going to do 2
on my thing. Yeah.
He's going to do 2. He's going to do 2. But he should do 1, but he's going to do 2.
Yeah. And that's the point. And just going back to Gerald Kwanzaa, again, I do these little things on TikTok where they ask me my opinion and then they put it out. And I said very early, you can go check it before, as this was announced, championship final, it was at Wembley. And I said, you can't take Reece James and Livramento as your only right backs, because unfortunately, not about the talent, their history shows you that they will get injured, they will break down. Now, unfortunately, in this situation, I was right, and I don't want to be right, because that means 2 lads are injured in this situation. So now we're going into a situation where we've got either a centre-back in Kwanzaa, a centre-back in Konza, or Jed Spence playing right-back. Jed Spence going forward is fantastic. You saw that when he came on. If you watch Spurs like I have for the last 2 years, if you've played against him like I did at Forest, guess what? He can't defend. So he's always the one who...
Yeah.
Suspect's nice. I have played in 2 years. But he keeps going up on... He's either the one who's too high and doesn't track his runner, or he's the one who tracks his runner and doesn't stay with the line and plays everyone onside. Every time. Just don't worry about me and my opinion. Just go and watch goals that were scored against Spurs last year and see how many times he's at fault and how many times he stood there like a statue waiting. If we're going to make it an NFL reference, someone trying to stop a linebacker and he just stands there like that, and Aaron Donald's run around the side of him. He goes, was that my fault? That's literally what it's like so many times. And I like Jed, by the way, as a kid, and this is not a personal attack. It's just I want England to win. And my final rant over, I still stand by it. We can't win it with Jordan Pickford in goal. Other than that, it's coming out.
We've heard the Jordan Pickford stuff, and I love it, and we will maybe get into that another day.
Sorry.
Just before we let you go, Troy, you mentioned Morgan Rogers leaving Aston Villa. You want it to happen as soon as possible. Are you having 130 million, which is supposedly what they're asking for?
Well, when Elliot Anderson's 116, come on, respectfully, head it, kick it, tackle, run forward. I mean, that's 116 million now.
So you're saying Morgan Rogers is 130 because he does more?
Absolutely. Question. How many times have you turned the telly on and go, can't wait to watch Elliot Anderson play today?
I love Elliot Anderson. I am.
No, I'm asking you a question. Yeah. When have you ever did that?
You are talking to the wrong man here, because I think Elliot Anderson...
You're going to give me some honesty.
I truly believe that Elliot Anderson going to Man City, he will develop into a better midfielder than Declan Rice. I actually truly believe that he is a better midfielder all round. At 23 years old, give me Elliot Anderson right now at 23 than Declan Rice at 27, 28 years old. That's what I would do if I was Man City and I was offered both for the same money. But I understand.
Elliot Anderson went from this completely underrated player
is
to now being this the English hype has just taken over now.
No, I love him.
No one paid attention to him 18 months ago. If you did, it's because you're a Forest fan. And now all of a sudden, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread in England. Again, he's a quality player. But the way that he's being described right now by English media, English fans. Listen, as you talked about, English media hyping people up and building them up on a pedestal. Elliot Anderson, I feel like, is a prime example of that. And again, that is no knock on the player. He is a quality player. What he does really, really well. But 116, 120 to be the most expensive summer transfer signing, I just I don't know where this is going at this point, if that's the price that he's going for.
Yeah, the other point to it is, and again, working for CBS, and even when I work with talkSPORT, you watch so many games. I cover so many leagues over here. And you look at people like Kone from Roma, who's obviously playing for France. He's, respectfully, 5 times a better player. He impacts the game 5 times more. And you'd get it for 60 million.
5 times is astonishing from you, Troy. I'm not going to lie.
You've just said he's going to be better than Declan Rice.
Yeah.
So, again, but also, if Maresca messes it up, which he's more than likely to do, if Rodri moves on, is it going to be Elliot Anderson's fault? Because is his job as a £116 million player and a pivotal role, is his job to elevate the team, or is the club, the coaches, everybody else's job to elevate him? Which one is it?
Well, it is to elevate the team, and I believe he's going to do that. Troy, we could be here for hours having this conversation.
Hey, listen, guys, I got nothing to do.
You'll be back, but trust me, you're getting back on because I've absolutely loved it.
Great to finally meet you. We have a lot of mutual friends, obviously.
Yeah,
some of the words I've done at CBS, so great finally being able to connect.
Troy's a big NFL guy as well, which obviously means that we've talked
he's
to
a
the
Ravens
office.
fan.
We had some
we
fun
gotta go to
with
Brazil.
That, so
we gotta go. I'm a Cowboys fan. Cowboys, Ravens in Brazil. Come on.
Hey, I'm sorry for your loss already. I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, and listen, hey, I know you're not talking. I know you're not talking.
Hey guys, you know where I am. You call me whenever you need me.
You're a legend. Thank you so much. The brilliant Troy Deeney joining us on the S Word. Mario Melchiot joins us up next to talk about the Dutch disappointment out in Boston. Was that they played last night? No, they were down in Mexico.
They were in Monterrey.
Yeah. Carry on. Come on. Why haven't you broken yet?
From kickoff to the full-time whistle, talkSPORT presents the S Word. to the full-time whistle.
Don't say the S word. Say the F word. Football.
The S word
From talkSPORT.
You're back with the S Word, sponsored by talkSPORT, and I'm desperately hoping our next guest is yet to see the video of us from the start of the show, dancing around to the left and the right.
We can do it again if you want.
I don't want to upset the man as he's just joining us. Still to come this hour, Omar Raja will be joining us on the Vibes out in the States. Wonderful Omar Raja from ESPN, but... Listen, we've talked a lot about Germany already. Let's talk about the other major European nation out of the tournament last night as the Netherlands were knocked out by Morocco on penalties. I'm delighted to say that joining us now is the former Dutch international Mario Melchiot. Mario, how are you doing, brother?
How's it going, man? How's it going, guys?
Hey, look, we really appreciate you taking the time out to speak with us, Mario. How are you? How are you feeling after last night? You've had a little while to react and respond to it. I know it was late. I don't know if you're out on our kind of time zone out here, but how is Dutch football feeling about yesterday?
I mean, it's sensitive in the sense of like, look, Morocco was the underdog. You felt the confidence in the sense of like, this was a chance to go through to the tournament. You played a different style of football that shows the respect that you probably have for the rights of the Moroccans, because they are, they're gaining ground. And I don't think it's only the Moroccans. I think all the African nations are gaining ground now. I think all the countries should, maybe focus a little bit more in the sense of like, hey, they're coming up and they're becoming very dangerous. We've played like 5 at the back, 2 in the midfield and 3 up front. What the key thing is of the Moroccan football is they're very strong in the middle of the park. And I think that was probably one of the key things that Holland maybe was misled in the sense of like on the ball. Of course, they got De Jong and Gravenberch, but leaving them on their own when they don't have the ball, I think that was one of the key things why Morocco really, they could control the tempo of the game. And I've never seen a Dutch game where Holland had to wait 5 minutes in the second half before they get the ball back.
Were you? It's a very interesting debate right now because obviously the nation of total football playing 5 in the back and trying to be respectful and mindful of the way Morocco plays. Through 70 minutes though, coming out of that hydration break, going up 1-0, it felt like the game plan was working. But again, it goes totally against the belief in the identity of Dutch football. Like, how do you? When you were sitting there and Netherlands was up 1-0, were you content with the idea of where tactically the decision making, or were you still frustrated by the fact that you were not seeing the Dutch football that you're accustomed to seeing?
No. Look, I'm not really worried about a change or a shift in the way you play football, because sometimes you have to change certain things to adapt. But the only thing is that if you lose everything, that is one of the key things. For example, when Holland was playing, the Moroccans had more passion, and I don't think that has nothing to do with system and formality of playing. You play a certain way, and I think they trained really well on it. They understood everything what they were doing. Okay, if you want to do that, you have to put it all the way through, and then later on they dropped off. I have not seen Holland that much, right? Dropping off all the way in the box, and they get the cross right, clearly delivered perfectly, and then Diop is standing there and makes the header goal. Okay, that is one of the things that you don't see that often in Dutch football, that we drop that deep and wait and wait and wait. I think that was maybe a surprise, but was I frustrated? No, I wasn't. I just was, for me, it was just new to see, and I'm not used to it. That's the only thing that I have, because I've never played in a national team playing like this.
Mario, from your perspective, Dutch football as it is right now, like, this is a team who, when we look back at the greats, when we look back at the history, when we look back at a team who won European Championships but haven't gone and done it in a World Cup, do you think there's enough talent and enough quality in this team right now with Ronald Koeman that they can be a team that really competes, a team that can, if they go out on the front foot, go out and beat the very best in the world?
The very best in the world, you will never know, because we will never know, because they got knocked out. But away from that, I think they're very talented. You also have to, I understand how you guys are talking, but if you look at the guys that won it, we are 18 million people in our country. I think we did pretty well. You understand? And I think sometimes people can be really harsh on it, but I know a lot of nations that have a small number in that sense. There are others, but they are not like clearly, you understand, I'm talking to you. The English nation is a couple of times bigger. When we're looking at the American nation, you understand that you cannot compare it even. So in that sense, we cannot look at that. I think talented, we will always bring talents through. Why? Because that is how we are built, and that is how we are generated. Like where I come from, my roots, you understand, I joined Ajax when I was, 9 years old? So going through that system, it will always be there. It will never be gone. The only thing is, like you guys said, like I do agree with you. One day we have to hold the big one. Why we have to hold the big one? Because we possess and develop so well, and we have to understand what is necessary and what's not necessary. And we have to be careful that some people outpace us, because that's not what we want.
And particularly within the Netherlands, obviously, there's a huge Moroccan diaspora that exists there as well. And I'm sure, I always love going to Rotterdam and Amsterdam, spend a lot of time there over the course of my travels. And you talk about the development for Dutch players. I mean, some of that also exists in terms of the development of Moroccan players within the Dutch system. And you're kind of seeing that on display in many ways across that nation.
Yeah, you have, you definitely have a lot of Moroccans. It's a nation that, like anybody that lives in Holland, it's the same, like, the Surinamese, like that's my culture, and the Africans, you understand, you will have that. And then particularly in the Africans, let's say I name the Moroccans because they also Africans, of course, but you have a lot of them, you understand, and that will always be like that, because the connection to it, you understand, I'm not going to go years back, but you know why the connection is there. And then they keep developing themselves. And I think in Morocco, they invested quite a lot of capital in building that football to a level that they are right now. And I think they did a great job. And I think they keep on doing a great job. And you see the stars are rising, you understand. Of course, everybody is aware of Hakimi, but there are more, Mazraoui, of course, that he came from Ajax, it's normal. But there are, like every Diaz then from Madrid. But, as a team, what I think you guys have, and I think you showed it yesterday, it's a unit. And I think the unit have beaten, you understand, regardless if Holland has some individuals, the unit was way stronger than Holland could compete with.
We spoke on the show yesterday, Mario, to pivot slightly, about the Enzo Maresca situation. It broke while we were live on air, and Chelsea put out an incredibly strong statement to kind of back where they were as a club, their belief that they missed out on European football because of the change of manager mid-season, and that's why they felt that they should go after this compensation. Do you buy that Enzo Maresca leaving Chelsea when he did was the reason for the failures last year? And do you back Chelsea to actually be able to now, with the changes, with everything that's happening at the club, to be able to actually compete again next season, be pushing for those Champions League places again? I
mean, look, there's a lot happening at the club. It was prior to this situation that we are having this conversation, and I've always been the guy that they have to slow things down because it's going too fast, and sometimes it's going too fast. Look, it can go too fast for us, you understand, as an outsider, but it can also be fast for anybody that's looking at them and saying, like, guys, slow down, you're buying there, you're doing that, you're doing that. Okay, let's say they say, like, we're in control, but it doesn't look like you're in control. That's one of the key things, and I hope they have it now. Alonso, I like him. You understand? It's no need to say that you don't like him. The only thing is that how much effect and how much input can he have? I hope he has a lot, because he has seen what happened at Madrid. We saw what he did at Leverkusen. But what happened at Madrid, when he wasn't, be able to shift and move things how he wanted it, it became a short story for him. I hope at Chelsea is different. You have the guys that normally recruit and they do their own philosophy. I hope he can put his input in it and understands exactly what he wants. Because if it's not like that, it becomes a different story. When you look at the Maresca situation, I understand what you say. People might say, like, hey, the timing wasn't right. No, the timing wasn't right. Did I want Maresca to go? No, I didn't want Maresca to go, because the ship was maybe, it wasn't always as straight as we wanted it. But he was still managing, and I had like a conversation with him prior to he got fired. Maybe was it like a couple of weeks before that? I was at the bridge, you understand, and we were on air and asked him a certain question. I asked him a certain question, like saying, like, how do you feel the development of the team? He said, yeah, we're growing, we're getting better. The younger ones are getting better and stuff like that. Next thing you know, I'm looking, he's out. What you say, like the conversation, I understand Chelsea. If we know the truth behind the story, because we don't know everything, right? We can only answer to what we see and what we have heard. The only thing I say is that sometimes you also have a manager that chooses his way. And sometimes you have a club that chooses his way. What we know, you understand, either one of them is going to take the best journey that is possible for the individual. And that is what happened. If you listen to Chelsea, what Chelsea now said, is that what happened. But on the other hand, also, as a club, you have to be aware that things can happen and things can shift. And you have to be ready for that kind of shift. And I don't think Chelsea was ready for that shift. So that's why it hurt a little bit more.
Real quick, just pointing back to the World Cup as well. Obviously, there was a lot of conversation about the 48-team, 48-nation tournament, the expansion of it. Now we're in this round of 32. I'm curious for your thoughts on how this format has worked out. I was rooting for Suriname. I was hoping they would make it. But, we have seen teams like Curacao and other nations that were not accustomed to making it in this tournament. Teams like Paraguay that are making their stamp and making their presence felt. What were your thoughts going into this World Cup, and have they changed at all in the knockouts?
I think it gives the possibility to a lot of the smaller nations, with all the respect there, because everybody has his own identity, and I think that's why I'm traveled so much in my life, because I love it, and going to different nations, and I think now they have the possibility. It's bigger now for them to get involved in this situation. In the beginning, you were skeptical, but now that I'm watching it, you understand, I don't think it kind of hurt me in the sense of like, it's a lot of joy in it. Of course, there are moments that you go like, okay, what's going on? What's happening? But there are enough nations that are growing in the tournament, and that's the secret of the World Cup. The World Cup is not the guy that starts the first game really well is going to be the best one. Sometimes it's the one that grows really well in the tournament. That's the one that wins it. But when I look at it, my experience now so far had not been bad. The only thing is that sometimes it's a lot of games. It's a lot of things that you demand from the players, and I hope that they don't lose the quality all the way to the end. Because if you played a lot of games in the beginning and it's so hot and it can be very uncomfortable, and when they get to the final stage, I hope we still see the highest level of football, and that is for me the most important part, because I love the game, and I think everybody that's connected to the game like yourself loves to see good football. That's the only thing I rate for. If I see good football, I don't have a problem. If I see the football is dropping a little bit, I think it becomes a problem that the numbers are that big.
Mari, now the Netherlands are out, you can give us an honest answer on this. Who's winning the World Cup?
Oh, I always been honest. You understand? Because I think the French was for me always the number. Why? Because I think they're the most talented, so that's why I highlighted them. But I had some surprises. I didn't expect the Argentinians to bring the same energy and the same power of going after it again. So that's why my decision might be a little bit shaky, but you never change, you understand? If you say something from the beginning, you got to stick to it.
Do you still feel comfortable about France's back line? Is that a worry for you at all?
Yeah, that's maybe a question, but look, France has one thing, and that's a lot of the guys don't have. It's like if you look at the front four, right? That like you have Dembele, you have Doué, you have Mbappe, you have what do you have?
Olise.
You have Barcola. You have so many individuals, and Turkey I didn't even call. And then you have so many individuals that can open the game up for you. So if you ask yourself, how many teams have that possibility? If you look at certain teams, like look, why do we love Argentina? Because Messi is there, right? And the team is playing for him. That is one of the key things that I love seeing, because I'm like, wow, you understand? Because Diego Maradona was my hero, you understand, growing up as a kid. So, sorry for the English, because the English don't like to hear that, but going through that situation, growing up.
I'm American, I'm American, so that's music to my ears, don't worry.
So I get that. So that's why I always will be watching them. And I like how they are the camaraderie of saying like, no, we're standing behind him and whatever happens. But there are also different nations like the Portuguese. I thought like, wow, with the team, the individuals are there. But I think the French, yes, I understand the back line, but they still have too much talent. At least, like sometimes if you score more, you win the game. That's it will always be the rule.
That is the most insightful thing anyone will ever say on this show, Mario. You have just outdone weeks, days, and months. Sometimes you just have to score more goals than the other team. Thank you so much.
Simple. It's a very simple game.
Mario, brilliant stuff from you. Really appreciate you coming on to join us.
Okay, guys, have a good one, man. Enjoy.
Beautiful. The wonderful Mario Melchiot joining us here on the S Word. What a show we've had today. What guests we've had.
Great guests, bro. I was thinking the same thing.
And it just keeps going.
What a great show.
Because we've got Omar Raja coming up from Sports Centre.
Come on.
Who's having a whale of a time at this World Cup, and he joins us next here on the S Word.
Big name reaction from both sides of the pond.
The S Word from talkSPORT.
presents
The S Word.
Get your full-on football fix from across the football galaxy.
The S Word
From talkSPORT.
You're back with the S Word, sponsored by Calci. I'm Will Gavin, live here in London, and joining me from out in Los Angeles, California, is the great master Tez Fatsian, brother. Listen,
come on.
What a show it's been so far. Mario Melchiot joined us, brilliant stuff. Troy Deeney was with us as well, some of the hottest takes from him, and now a man who I love his TikToks where he reacts to the hot takes online. He's the founder of House of Highlights, ESPN Sports Centre, the brilliant Omar Raja joins the show right now. Omar, how are you doing, brother? I love that.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm a huge fan of that. You've come on and you've rocked the flag and you've gone, listen, I'm out here representing. I know who my paymasters are. Well,
this is my setup. I actually thought, I was like, do I take this off? Do I not take this off? But you know, it was too late at this point. So it's actually good to see Master up at 6 a.m. By the way, I didn't think that'd be possible. So.
It's normally because he's
morning.
Still up. That's the problem. It's only normally because he's just powered through.
That is the only time Omar sees me up at 6 a.m. is because I didn't sleep after a summer league night in Vegas.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
That sounds like a story I need to hear off air. We're having a great time, Omar. I'm not going to lie. The World Cup has been sensational. I still haven't got out there, unfortunately. That's my only problem, so I'm trying to figure it out. I want to next couple of weeks.
Omar, you have, though. Omar, I'm curious from your vantage point. Have you received a World Cup so far?
I have a couple times now. I think the first game I went to was France versus Senegal. It was incredible. The environment was rocking. But I think for me, I recently was at USA versus Turkey. And although the game was, quote, meaningless for USA, one thing that was interesting to see is like how much it meant to the Turkey fans. Like even when Turkey, wins in the last second, their season or their run is over. But you just saw tears in their eyes when they were leaving the stadium. And even my friends, like one of my friends, he runs his account, USMNT only. He's a diehard US men's fan. And he was like so sad that USA lost. But when he saw all these fans like with tears in their eyes, he's like, this is what it's all about at the end of the day. Even though they're not playing for anything, you can tell it means so much to people. So I think as an American kind of watching the World Cup now, you're learning a lot about like how much this matters to people and just the community aspect of it.
How does it compare with when you're covering the major American sports? Like obviously you were deep in the historic Knicks run recently.
Yeah.
You've been at Super Bowls. You've been at all the major finals in all the sports. How does covering a World Cup on home soil compare?
So it's funny. I would say the Knicks finals that we just did was probably the most like iconic, series I've ever been to. Just the energy around the city was different. I live in New York, so I think it felt a little, special to me as well. But it's funny when I left the USA versus Turkey game, I was like, I need to find a way to get to more games. Like there's a July 5th game at MetLife. I'm like, how do I sneak in over there? So I think also too, now with the knockout stages, you're starting to feel some of the energy. Like I felt like yesterday and Sunday, like, ooh, my group chats are a little different. So I think as this starts to progress now in the knockout stages, the energy is about to reach like another level. And I felt that with the Knicks when the Knicks were playing the Cavs and they were up 3-0. And I'm like, oh, once they go 4-0 and sweep and they go to the finals, this is about to get crazy. And I think if USA wins tomorrow, that's when things are really going to get rocking.
You're always keeping your eye on, of course, what's going on the social space. With this World Cup, there's been so many incredible moments already so far, and we've only reached the round of 32. What has been your favorite moments that you've seen in terms of fan interaction and engagement during this World Cup?
Well, I think there's always some heavy hitters. The big one is always like the Japan fans cleaning after the game. People love that. I think the what's funny also to see is like the fans in Bangladesh. I don't know if you guys have seen those videos where like it's like Colombia. They might be bandwagoning, by the way. It's like it's Colombia, it's Argentina, and they're just like cheering like it's the most important thing.
Yesterday was Brazil.
Cool to see. Yesterday was Brazil. I'm like, what's happening here? What's going on?
It's the same space. It's the same room, and it's like the same
space
room
every time. Yeah, and I'm like, what's happening here? I will say, and this won't shock anyone, but like the Messi stuff is just absurd. I was in Madrid for Atletico Madrid versus Barcelona, and I was speaking with some people, and they were like, you know what? And they were like, it was Barcelona fans, but they're like, I might sound like a band, not a band, like a homer, but I still think Messi's like a top 5 player in this game. And, Messi at this point, 2-3 years in the MLS? And I was like, like I grew up in Miami, so I like Messi. I like Inter Miami. But I was like, oh, I didn't know he's still considered to be that good. And now we're in the World Cup, and to me, he's the best player in the world still. So I think that's been cool to see, because also when you think about 2022, everyone was like, that's the final run. And I'm like, they could easily make this run again. So, and the dominance is just absurd. He comes in for the last 20 minutes and scores again. So that part has been super cool to see, and people definitely care.
Yeah, listen, the greatest World Cup goal scorer of all time plays in MLS. That should be the headline that everyone should be paying attention
MLS
to
legend
right now.
MLS legend.
Yes. It's funny you mentioned actually going to East Rutherford, going for that game at MetLife, because that's Brazil against either Ivory Coast or Norway. And we had Ollie Fashanu on the show, the Jets left tackle, who went to that first Brazil game at MetLife and said that despite having played there many times and not had a lot of success over the last couple of years, but he said the feeling in that stadium when Vinny Jr. scored that goal was like he felt it shake, like he felt the whole place go. And so, like, surely when you think about that social space and all that stuff going on, as much as we love these smaller stories, you need Brazil to go further, you need Argentina to go further, 100%. You need those stars there to keep this going, because they're only just going to keep lighting it up.
Especially like Colombia as well. And there's a lot of, Ronaldo fans, so we're cool with Portugal running it up too. But I think, one thing too is like usually whenever I'm at a sporting event and we do the wave, right? It's always corny. But for some reason at the World Cup, every time we've done the wave, I look around and I'm like, that was cool.
As long as everyone keeps hold of their phone, Omar, that's the main thing. As long as everyone keeps hold of their phone, then the wave is cool.
Yeah. There is just something about, I think the energy in the people and the community at a World Cup game, it's very different. So I think there's just something that I want to do more of the wave, and I've never wanted to do the wave my entire life. I always kind of grown. So it's nice. It's fun.
You've been at a lot of Inter Miami games, as you mentioned. I've seen you a lot pitch side for Messi matches and other matches as well, leading up to this World Cup. What has been your soccer journey in getting to this point and being able to experience this? How cool of a moment is this to be able to have some incredible experiences as a host nation here in this World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, I remember in the 2022 World Cup, that was my first time. Obviously, like when you with Tim Howard in 2014, that was like a legendary run for the U.S. men's team. And I actually remember when I did House of Highlights, I would went back in the archives of like Tim Howard and was like posting stuff, even though I definitely should have been posting that stuff because I didn't have the rights. But like, that was kind of like the early days of House of Highlights. Is like, it's not just NBA. I remember it was like the World Cup, and we were leaning into that. And I think with the 2022 World Cup, that was my first time really getting back into the game of like, wow, this is incredible. And then there was momentum with Messi joining. And I will say, like, being in Miami, I was in Miami when LeBron James made that incredible run with 4 years. Unfortunately, lost to the Mavericks in 2011. That master reminds me about like every 2 months. It's weird. But we beat that ass in 2006.
They don't have a lot of stuff to celebrate. They trade away their best players. You have to let them have the little moments when they've got them.
It's
right?
Okay. Omar only benefits from great officiating in 2006 and Lionel Messi. So it all runs in the family, doesn't it?
Yeah. They got a good rigging after too. Like they trade away the best player in the world, and then they decide to get Cooper Flag and another #1 pick. So like, don't act like you haven't benefited from the rigging as well. Okay,
it happens. Hey, it's a lottery. It's a lottery. Anyone has a chance.
Yeah. So. But I've seen the city alive. Like I remember the 2010 to 2014 era. The city was very alive, and been to the games. Very lucky to. Stadium is rocking. Those fans get drunk. The arena is rocking. Now, when I went to the first Inter Miami game, and you have the celebs there, which is Kim K and LeBron, but you also have someone like Speed, who, man, Speed walks around, and I don't think I've ever seen more kids just run after another human being. It was legitimately like, I've seen LeBron walk around and it's like, wow, people are like, pulling out their phones and they're like, wow. There's something about Speed where it's like, I got to run to him. I have to run towards him. And the amount of people I saw run towards Speed was insane. And that was 2-3 years ago. And he's found a way to keep leveling up. So just the environment. I also like, we got the drums, we got the loud fans. There's a different energy and community at these games. And I think that's what I've grown to appreciate over the last few years.
Hey, you didn't mention, by the way, an MLS legend in his own right. And if he's over this side of the pond, people are running up to him in the street. Sir David Beckham, of course. That cannot go.
Of course. He was at
the only England kid I think. He was, yeah. He takes his mom every year annually. There were some tweets about like, he was frustrated or not because he had to take off from the World Cup to go do this annual retreat that he does with his mom. But he's in Wimbledon right now. I'm sure he'll be back here soon though.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm sure he will.
Love it. Omar, when you look at what's going to still to come in this World Cup, the stories, like you have a night last night where you have these two huge upsets and the penalties and the drama and everything else. Like when we think of the casual American sports fans, it's the understanding that ties are important. It's the understanding penalties and stuff like that. And it's really interesting watching on social media as I've started doing this show, which is aimed at a North American audience, and my social media and my algorithms have just come more and more USMNT, etc. What do you think are those stories that are really going to shine? What do you think are those things that people are really going to hook onto? And are you excited to get out there and cover?
Well, you know what the funny thing is? Before yesterday, we talked a little bit about my hot takes in that series. Mm-hmm. The amount of DMs I got complaining about penalty kicks was insane. Everybody says that we need to just go back to golden goal. So that was in my mind. And then I'm watching all these penalty kick shootouts and I was like, this is actually fun. I don't know where you two stand, but like I'm cool with penalty kicks.
It's the greatest drama in sport. There is nothing better than penalty kicks when it comes to pure drama. Yes, you feel as a fan when it happens to you. And trust me, as an England fan, we have lost a lot of penalty shootouts over the years. years. But it's the most gutting way to lose because you feel like you didn't lose doing on the pitch what you're meant to be doing, and it can be a little bit luck. But from a pure drama perspective, there is nothing better than a penalty shootout. Nothing better.
I was like on the edge of my seat, and then how many games did we get? 2 or 3 with penalty kick shootouts? And even last night it was like 1 a.m, and I'm like fighting to stay awake, and I'm like, this is insane. And shout out to Morocco, they figured it out.
They found a way. Have you been watching? I know the Netherlands got eliminated, but I'm sure you've been watching the Dutch as they celebrate and the little celebration they do.
Well, Norway. I don't even want to do my impersonation. How does Norway do it? The row or
the Viking row?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm in New York City, and it's funny. Sometimes I'm like, I was working all day. Let me go for a quick walk, and it'll be late at night, and just seeing the fans, because it was rowdy when the Knicks were winning. It was interesting. This is a different type of loud and we're proud type of energy, and it's always like a group of 10 Norway fans just like and keep in mind there's not even a game that day. They're wearing the kits, they're ready to go, and they're just it's 8:47. It just turned dark. It's not even like rowdy time, but they're around. I live next to Penn Station, so all of them are I guess are in that area or whatever, and it's fun to see everyone with their kits, loud and proud. And I'm so curious. I'm just curious if they're staying out here the whole time in America, and they're gonna just be rowdy the whole month, or what they're.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. When
you know what?
When you're a Viking,
it is surprising how much money everyone else has. Where do I get some of this money?
It's crazy.
You look at some of the tickets, I'm like, man, this is nuts. I thought we were all broke. How did this happen?
Thank you so much for joining the show. Brilliant from you.
Worries.
Really
Much love, man.
appreciate
Thank
your
you so
time.
much, bro.
Love to hear from you later in the tournament about your experiences. Sensational, Master. Brilliant from you. Tonight, 3 great games. Tomorrow, the USMNT and England both get their knockout stages underway on the same day. Cannot wait. We'll bring it to you all here on the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi.
From the touchline to the terraces, talkSPORT presents the S Word.